Okay, my presentation is on oil. Well, that's my topic. It's oil in Nigeria, and I will be discussing about some of the benefits it has for the country and some of the disadvantages. Yeah. Okay, so oil fouls everything in southern Nigeria, which is in the Niger Delta. That's Nigeria has like some parts that have oil, but the major places in Niger Delta, which has been happening, wow, well, since the 1960s, because they've generated over $600 billion from that time. So oil fouls everything in southern Nigeria. It spills from the pipelines, poisoning soil and water. It stains the hands of politicians and generals who siphon off its profits. It it taints the ambitions of the young, who would try anything to scoop up a share of the liquid riches. Fire a gun, sabotage a pipeline, kidnap a foreigner. So those were kind of like disadvantages that happened around because like a lot of foreigners were coming to Nigeria to make a profit because there's a vast amount of money, especially when it comes to like dealing with oil and trading. So this was a way of the people who were affected by the oil spills that happened in 2006 2008. This was their way of acting against the government because they weren't compensated. They were left unemployed because most of these people, around 30 million people, live in the Niger Delta, and most of these people, were affected, and their livelihoods, because they were mostly farmers and traders, and the government never compensated them. They were just forced to move out. So we all know that oil spills affect livelihoods and the growth of crops. Um, people act some Someone actually wrote a book, kind of like a documentary. The website is www.amnesty.nl, about one of the oil spills that occurred in '08, and well, this was the oil spill at Boda. So they actually they actually took some notes on how people were affected, and on the introduction it says Nigerian oil industry regulation. Nor it's clear why the federal regulators do not take action. The failures to stop the leak swiftly significantly increase the damage. While a local community representatives claim that people suffer skin problems through contact with the oil, a common complaint of communities affected by oil spills. So this just shows that the government wasn't able to take care of its own people, which was, to me, is kind of like an abomination, especially with a country that has the means and the money to support its people. So Nigeria didn't completely forget about the people that it kind of it did, because foreign aid had to be called, and the United Nations, of like 8 months after the oil spill, they reportedly brought food to relieve the community, which to me was appalling because it's 8 months after people were affected by the oil spill. And I mean, oil spills are a serious problem in the Niger Delta, because I think the failure of the oil companies and regulators to deal with them swiftly, and the lack of effective cleanup greatly exacerbates the human rights and environmental impacts of such spills. And I think that people in Nigeria, just because like they have different classes and they can't speak for themselves, I think that the people that were affected still have their human rights. And yeah, so that is my to my intro on oil. But I think some of the advantages of the oil does have its downsides, which nearly think everything does. But it makes a huge profit for the economy and boosts it. It contributes to economic development, and Nigeria is able to pay taxes and its royalties. It provides employment opportunities, and it creates pollution and provides CSR projects, as you can see in one of my pictures. And some of the disadvantages is loss of farmlands, loss of livelihood, population growth. That will obviously decrease because environmental degradation, and some of the things that the Nigerian government is known for is the corruption, mismanagement, lack of development policies, huge. And yeah, because we all know that Nigeria is an undeveloped country. It doesn't exactly have the technology that that it's supposed to have anyway, such like places like in South Africa, United Kingdom, the U.S. The oil spill also affects affects the water used for drinking and other domestic purposes, such as especially like if you're living in a village, you use it to take a shower. Sometimes you may be forced to drink it, even if knowing how dirty it is as well. Just a lot of human rights have been violated. That's some of my advantages and disadvantages on on oil. So yeah.